How does the GI Bill affect college planning? This is a common question we get for our military families of how exactly they should go about strategizing with the GI Bill. And there are plenty of ways that you can look at this, but let's just dive into exactly what the GI Bill is and why it's so vital for our military families in planning college planning for their children. So there are two different types of GI Bills actually. You have the post 9/11, which is the most commonly used. And the reason for that being is that not only does it cover 100% of in-state tuition at public schools, but it also provides a monthly housing allowance and gives you up to $1,000 a year for books, which is huge. Now, there is another GI Bill called the Montgomery GI Bill, but this is only a flat monthly rate for a payment for tuition, which is $2,438 for 2026, and it's paid directly for the student and to the student for tuition. Now, of course, if you can compare the two, that is why we see the post 9/11 GI Bill used so often, is because its benefits are just so wide spanning. And that's why it's really the better option out of the two of these. Unless you're just in an extremely low cost program, then of course you can utilize the Montgomery GI Bill as well. Now, that being said, there are yellow ribbon programs that really make college even more affordable. So like I said, the post 9/11 GI Bill does have a limitation as far as the public in-state tuition. And, the maximum that they're, willing to spend on those kinds of tuition are $30,908. But this is where the VA can also step in on these as well for these yellow ribbon schools, where you can still obtain an Ivy League education at an out-of-state or, private education in university, and still be able to use that GI Bill and have, tuition almost 100% covered at those yellow ribbon colleges and universities. There's also a STEM extension here as well. So if your child is pursuing, a STEM degree in some capacity, it's very worthwhile for you to look at the Edith Norse Rogers STEM Scholarship, because this adds 9 months of the GI Bill. So this can be huge, especially if you have multiple children and you won't be able to provide, the GI Bill to every single child for the full duration of their schooling. This gives that opportunity that if you're able to give, half of your GI Bill to one of your children, then this gives them an additional 9 months of coverage if they're pursuing a STEM degree. Now, of course, this is where we get into the big topic is transferability. And you want to make sure that as soon as you hit year 6 of service, your children have at least 1 month of your GI Bill if you have it available to you. And you want to pass that on at least 1 month to each of your dependents. You don't have to decide, which dependent you want so far yet of who's going to receive it. But the problem is, with the GI Bill is if you are to end your service, retire from service, and you have not done transferring of the GI Bill to your dependents, then you lose that ability once you have retired from the service. So you want to make sure that you have this done as soon as you hit year 6 if you have children, or as soon as that baby is born. You want to go ahead and be transferring that 1 month of service to those children to make sure that they have the ability and the access to the GI Bill. Now, that said, of course, you do also have to agree that you're going to serve for an additional 4 years after that transferability, which is why this makes it even more important to do this ahead of time. So you're not signing up for more years of service than you maybe would have bargained for as well. So just make sure that you're doing that and you're at least giving that 1 month, because then that allows you to transfer more months to them in the future, and make sure that you're making those transfers for all your children in the future as well. Keep in mind that if your service ended after January 1st of 2013, then you have access to the benefits forever and they never expire. It's a huge benefit. You essentially have a forever GI Bill. Now, that being said, while the GI Bill is an amazing asset for college planning, you also have a 529 plan available to you as well that we highly recommend investing into for your children. Even if they might not need it for college expenses, you now have the ability to convert this to a Roth IRA for them, up to $35,000 for them in the future, and really establish great generational wealth. A 529 plan really is a 6-figure asset for you and your family because it is saving so much for you for college expenses. So this is vital to make sure you do it correctly, and make sure that if you haven't already and you've hit 6 years of service, go ahead and transfer at least 1 month of your GI Bill to all of your children.